Hello internet world once again. So in this video I want to talk about meditation, and I want to talk about it in a way that most people aren't really talking about it. And the reason I want to bring this up is because meditation is being sort of sold in every industry at the moment as being almost like the silver bullet to everything. It'll cure this, it'll help you do this, it'll improve your skills in this and all that sort of stuff. And while that stuff is true, I also want to spend a bit of time talking about the stuff that well, basically, when you get into meditation, things can get quite messy. And this is what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the messy stuff, because I think if you're a bit aware of it, or you may be going through it now, so it doesn't feel like you're doing it wrong. Because actually, when you're doing meditation right, it's actually a bit of a rocky road. The good news is it does stabilize towards the end of the process, but for some time it is quite messy. And I want to talk about three things that tend to happen when you really start to get into meditation, and kind of what to maybe be a little bit aware of, just to kind of help you deal with it. So the first thing that really tends to happen is that you become more sensitive. So this means you become more sensitive to like violent images, you become more sensitive to people around you, you become more sensitive to the music in your environment, things like that. You just seem to notice how your body responds to it and how you start sort of reacting to these things a lot more. Because before meditation you could probably be exposed to these things and it didn't really shake you. But when you start getting into meditation, things shake you a bit easier. And why does this happen? Simply because when you're meditating, or when you practice meditation, you become more aware of the subtleness of things. Those who don't have that sort of developed subtleness have what they call like a dense mind, or a dense awareness. So they can be exposed to many things, and on their awareness level, they're not clued into what's actually going on in the deeper, more subtle realms of energy, physiology, things like this. But meditation makes you more sensitive and aware of the responses, like physiological responses inside your body. So you notice your heart rate, you notice weird feelings in your belly. You start noticing all these things that you may not have noticed before. And why does this happen? It's because another word for meditation that I'd kind of like to throw out there is actually space. So when we're meditating, what we're really just encouraging is more space, to be in our being, to be in our mind, to be in our life. So pre-meditation, we generally, as we grow, we fill in the space. We fill the space with everything, with movies, with smartphones, with Facebook, with conversations with people. We're always sort of filling ourselves with stuff. Also like plans, goals, ideas, activities, adventures. Like we're just, often it's encouraged that that's the way to live. And in some ways that's true, but not completely. I think if you have that sense of space, plus knowing, of course, having stuff happening in your life, but there's still a space there. If you don't have the space and you're just filling it with stuff, I think you're really missing out potentially on these deeper or more subtle depths of the human experience. So I'll move on from that. So the first one I just wanted to recap is that you get generally more sensitive to things because you're developing more space and becoming more aware of the subtleties. The second thing that tends to happen is that you start, because of your sensitivity, is that you start to withdraw from a lot of things. You start to withdraw from social situations, you start to withdraw from the usual things and the usual things you used to watch. You start to withdraw from basically the old environments and the old ways of doing things. So this withdrawing is actually quite natural, and people may worry that they're losing the plot a bit, or there's something like that. But that's just a natural tendency or a consequence of becoming more subtle. because you'll learn and you'll notice that the things that used to make you feel good or feel better don't do that so much anymore. So there's this period where you start sort of questioning everything, and naturally, because of your sensitivity, you'll start to withdraw from the usual things. And this period is, sometimes they call it a healing crisis, but I think that's a bit too strong. It's more like a reassessment, or you're reevaluating what's important, what feels good, what doesn't feel good, what's fulfilling, what's truly worthwhile pursuing, and what is just nonsense, and what is superficiality. So there's a period where this will happen. You'll start to withdraw, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. Just keep with the practice, keep developing your space. Don't overthink it is probably a good one, because you may freak yourself out a little bit if you start overthinking it all. Generally, I'd say that the more stuff that you've had to process, the more potential, maybe if you've really packed down and avoided a lot of the emotions, a lot of the trauma, a lot of the events that you've sort of grown up with, generally the longer this period may last for. Everyone's a bit different about how they process and how they work through their stuff. However, the general principle is the more you've avoided things, maybe the longer and the harder this particular phase will go on for, because you're really reassessing things and you're processing things. And so that brings me to point 3, is that this is more like the sort of, as you start to, you've reassessed things, you've recalibrated yourself a bit, you've worked out what's important to you through this process of kind of a withdrawing phase. And then your vibration will start to be a bit more, I'd say, cleaner, or clearer is probably a better word. So as your vibration gets clearer and cleaner, you'll start to want to re-engage with the world a lot more. You'll start to want to pursue things that you know now are really beneficial to you, that are fulfilling for you. And I think that you essentially become quite a different person. Your reactions are completely different. Even your personality will be slightly different as well. Your interests, your likes or dislikes, the way you respond to those things will be completely different. Your friendship circle will be probably completely different to what it was a few years ago. And that actually reminds me of something I read in this Chinese medical text, and it says 100 days will give you small results. 1,000 days will pretty much change everything. So that means that in 100 days of practice or 100 days of work, you can essentially reverse any disease. You can pretty much change most parts of your personality. Basically it's a huge healing process, which can be shifted within in 1,000 days. It's quite a long commitment, but it is, and it doesn't all have to be one after the other. You can do your 1,000 days. Like for myself, it's probably over 5-10 years or so of work. So again, it depends on everybody. Everybody's different about how long it will take. But I just wanted to use this video to explain that meditation is not going to solve all your problems and make things easier. Often it will come through as making things messier. It'll make you reevaluate what you've been doing, how you've been behaving. It'll make you reevaluate your relationships. What's important to you, what's valuable, what's worthwhile. And so naturally with that awareness, that new sensitivity, there will be a phase where you may need to withdraw from the world for a while, or withdraw from your usual behavior and go through this process. And it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing, it's totally a good thing. And know that after a while, keep with the work, keep clearing you out, keep letting go. That's the practice. Let go, create space. When another thing comes up, let it go, allow space. Let it go, allow space. Eventually the trash kind of burns through, or the karmic imprints burn through, and things start to steady out. The vibration starts to become smoother and clearer and cleaner. And when that happens, you will naturally be pulled back into the world to re-engage in things that are more meaningful, more powerful. And with that, potentially your personality could be quite different. Everything about you could be quite different. And that is, in the end, it's a really good thing. So do not be too disheartened. If you are going through a messy phase with your meditation, just roll with it. You know, if you need to have a break as well, that's fine. It will probably call you back at some stage. Okay, so that's basically it. I just wanted to cover some of the messy aspects of meditation to help you out. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to post them up. And I hope to see you again next time. Thank you.